Yo, welcome to the Hoop Objective with your boy Armani. Today, you already know blockbuster trade just went down. Mr. Donovan Mitchell just got traded to the Cavs out of all places, which is it's crazy to me how these trades can end up turning out, happening in a way that's completely unexpected to us NBA fans. So we're just gonna go ahead and get into that. So, in this trade, the Jazz received Colin Sexton, who also signed a 4-year, $72 million extension to get the signing trade done. They also get Lauri Markkanen. They get Ochai Agbaji, the first-round pick from Kansas, who just won a national championship, one of my favorite prospects in this year's drafts. The Jazz also get 3 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps. So, they wanted that. They always was going to get that no matter where they was going to trade Donovan Mitchell to. So that was honestly the minimum that they was going to get. You had to at least get them at least 3 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps. And the Cavs obviously get Donovan Mitchell. So, in my opinion, the Jazz and the Cavs both win this trade. They both won this trade in their own unique way. They both get what they need. The Cavs get another young star that somewhat fits their timeline, and the Jazz they continue to stock up on those picks and young players so they could restart and do their rebuild again. But there is another team that did lose in this situation, and I'm sure y'all all know where I'm going with this, and that's the New York Knicks. Bruh, the Knicks literally been waiting for years to get another star, and this was literally their perfect opportunity to go get Donovan Mitchell. They were literally the favorites. They had the most draft capital. They had the most capital they could get, out of any team, really. I think the Knicks could have easily outbid the Cavs offer when it comes to Donovan Mitchell in this trade. Like, if you look at this trade, the Knicks could have gave them more than that. The Knicks had more picks. The Knicks had, honestly, I'll say the same caliber as young players, at least, if not better. So I'm not sure how the Knicks let the Cavs outbid them like that, but it ended up happening. After they, signed RJ to that 4-year, $100 million extension, it was just like, okay, that trade it makes the Donovan Mitchell trade a little bit harder, but there was still a world where Donovan Mitchell could still become a Knick. So that the RJ Barrett extension didn't stop that from being a possibility. So I was still over here expecting the Knicks gonna still get. The Knicks still going to be able to trade for Donovan Mitchell. I didn't think anyone else could outbid them, even though I really wanted my Miami Heat to go after him. I really wanted the Heat to go after him a little harder, but, we didn't have as much to give. We weren't going to give up Tyler. We weren't going to give up Bam. There were certain players that the Heat just weren't willing to give. Well, Tyler, I think they would have gave up Tyler, but we didn't have the picks, and, Miami's picks never end up being good, so. But anyways, the Knicks had the most to give Utah for Donovan Mitchell. And it's like y'all haven't had that young star in forever. And y'all been one of the most inept franchises for the longest. So why not do it? Why not do it? Y'all literally putting all this money into Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett and Julius Randle. So y'all spending money like y'all trying to contend soon. Why not just go after the young star that also fits your timeline and he also gets fans excited? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. If y'all could have gave up 3 first-round picks, 2 pick swaps, and a couple young players to get Donovan Mitchell, why not do that? I don't understand why the Knicks didn't push a button on a trade like this. Even if you have to give up 1 extra pick, it's not like you're giving up all of your own picks. They have picks from Dallas, they have picks from other teams that they could have given up in this trade. So I'm not understanding how the Knicks wasn't able to make it happen, wasn't able to get a deal done, but they weren't. So the Cavs exploited it. The Cavs seen that and they was like, all right, The Knicks not gonna try to make a trade. They're not gonna be aggressive. We gonna do this. We gonna try to, make a push at being competitive. And this makes the Cavs, in my opinion, one of the best teams in the East for sure. Last year they were already, for the majority of the year, one of the best teams in the East. But towards the end of the year, y'all know when it comes to inexperience, and then they had injuries, they ended up, getting in the play-in and then losing to Trae Young in the play-in. So, the Cavs they were down bad last year. But this trade, well, you gotta look at Darius Garland, Colin Sexton in the backcourt, and in the front court you got Evan Mobley and you got Jarrett Allen. They looking pretty formidable, if you ask me. The Cavs looking pretty formidable. I don't know if this makes him a contender. Honestly, I doubt that they're a contender. I'm not going to put them in that category yet, due to them being young and due to the rest of the roster having to shape up. And, there's still questions about the Cavs. Is Darius Garland and not Colin Sexton. Colin Sexton's gone now. Is Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, are they going to be able to, with that undersized backcourt, are they going to be able to play defense? And, there's still questions. Don't get me wrong. There's still questions about Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland as a backcourt. But offensively, I have no questions about this team defensively. The only questions are the starting backcourt. But the rest of the Cavs defense is formidable. So, they are one of the best teams in the East. I'll put them. Are they with the Celtics? Are they with the Heat? Are they with the Nets? Are they with those teams? I can't say that, but I can put them in that 4th and 5th seed area and say they can give one of those teams, a push in the playoffs. So the Cavs, even though they had to give up a lot to get Donovan Mitchell, it was worth it. It was worth it, and especially what they're trying to do. They're not trying to miss the playoffs. They're not in that rebuilding phase anymore. Now they're in that, okay, we need to compete phase. And soon they're going to have to be in that, okay, now we're trying to contend phase, So on the Cavs end, great deal. And the Jazz continue to stock up. They keep stocking up. The Jazz is doing their thing, y'all. Nobody can say the Jazz not doing their thing. That Rudy Gobert trade, in my opinion, a lot of people, I don't think enough people are talking about it. The Jazz robbed the Timberwolves in that Rudy Gobert trade. To get as many picks and as many players as they did, they robbed the Timberwolves, in my opinion. And then they go and, get what they wanted for Donovan Mitchell. They got their picks. They got some young players. Colin Sexton, in my opinion, is extremely underrated. He does take a lot of shots. Sometimes he can take too many shots, get too aggressive, have that tunnel vision. But at the same time, he's still young. Yeah, he's coming off of a torn meniscus, I think. It was a torn meniscus. He's coming off of that. But Colin Sexton on this new Jazz team where, it's open season, anybody could really take the mantle for the offense. He can get you a dub. He could get you a dub, and he's not been as inefficient as people have been saying, but he can get you a dub on pretty okay efficiency. He still has to get better at playmaking, but he's making strides in the playmaking department slowly. So I think Colin Sexton has been really underrated, in my opinion. So he's a good piece that the Jazz are going to get in this deal, 4-year, $72 million extension. So they're guaranteed to have him for 4 years. And then you get Lauri Markkanen, who in that big three center lineup that the Cavs had, which I thought was so weird, but it ended up working somehow, whatever. He had a pretty good year with the Cavs. He had a pretty good bounce back year after the Bulls gave up on him. So, it's a piece, for a rebuilding team. And my favorite piece out of this whole deal that the Jazz are getting, I like this guy even better than the picks. Like Ochai Agbaji, I'm really big on Ochai Agbaji. I'm not gonna lie. Like after watching him last year throughout the season at Kansas, watching him at March Madness, that man is a assassin. And enough people, I don't think enough people are talking about it. He's gonna be an extremely formidable 3-and-D player. And I see him if Jay Crowder was more of an assassin, if he was more of I don't even know how to put it, if I'll say he's a souped up Jay Crowder. That's how I'll put it. Like, I'm really a big fan of Ochai Agbaji, and I'm glad that the Jazz were able to get him in this deal, because that's basically another first round pick. You know, he's never played a game in the NBA yet, so they basically got 4 first round picks, 2 pick swaps, Colin Sexton and Lauri Markkanen. So, you know, they're in the phase where they have all these picks, they have a few young players. Now Danny Ainge is like, all right, now we could go ahead and get into our rebuild, and then we can start really putting this roster together the way we want to. Because that Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert experiment, let's be real, y'all, it was a failure. So, you know, the Jazz win. They get to continue, and, you know, they get to really get more pieces to start that rebuild. The Cavs get to get better, and they get to compete with all those top tier teams in the East. And the Knicks, again, the Knicks lose again. They always lose. Like, ever since 2019, or even before that, they've been losing. But in terms of trying to get star players into New York, they lost in 2019 when they was trying to get KD, Kyrie, and Zion, and ended up having to sign Julius Randle. And now they lose again with, you know, the Donovan Mitchell sweepstakes. So hopefully the Knicks can figure something out, especially with all that money they're paying these guys to be like an 8th seed in the East and get bounced out the first round. So we'll see what happens with them. And, you know, if I had to give each team a grade on this trade, I'll say the Cavs get an A-, because I do still have questions about that backcourt when it comes to 2 6'1" guards, you know, being able to play defense. But for the most part, I feel like they win in this trade. They're gonna, you know, Donovan Mitchell is already he's already an all-star, so they're getting the star in this trade, and they're able to compete. So I'll give them an A-, even though I have questions. For the Jazz, they're gonna get an A, you know, because I think honestly they could have got either an extra pick or maybe push for an extra young player, but they got, you know, for the most part, they got what they wanted. So that's an A. And the Knicks, even though they're not a part of this trade, y'all already know what it is for them. It's a F, because they should have went after Donovan Mitchell even harder, especially with what they've been going through. And I think they could have beat that deal. They easily could have beat that deal. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the trade. Y'all already know what to do with that YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe. And this was your boy Armani, and I'm out. Peace.